cool summer makeup tutorial. What does that even mean? Hi, if you're new, welcome. My name's Zach. Love seasonal color analysis because I like how wearing your best colors can make you look and feel. Today, I wanted to share with you how to create this party-ready, true or cool summer makeup tutorial. Without any further hesitation, let's get right into this video. To start the true or cool summer makeup look, prime my eyes, and for that, I'm going to use the matte Pro Longwear paint pot in the shade Painterly. Painterly is a great base for any of our cool tone seasons. So whether you are a summer or in a winter or any of the subgroups of those two palettes, this is a great neutral rosy beige skin tone shade that is great for, I would say, fair to medium skin tones. Darker skins can make this work, but it's gonna be more of a statement since it is quite fair and quite opaque. But if you want impact and you want something like a shimmer shade to show up on a deeper skin tone, this could be a great base. Now, since this look is going to be a little bit more on the smoky side, I'm gonna take just a pinch and run right under my lower lash line. I'm gonna give my eye primer just a moment to dry down, get a little tacky. And today I thought it'd be fun to use the ColourPop Stone Cold brush palette. Now, some of them are already out because I've been practicing the eye look. All of the brushes are in this really pretty soft pink and silver combination, which is perfect for this cool muted season. And since it's ColourPop, the price point is decent for the quality of product you're getting. So the first brush I'm gonna use is the E23. Like my other seasonal color palette videos, I've put together a little Sydney Grace palette. The first shade I'm gonna use from that Sydney Grace palette is this matte cream shade called Drift. And just using that on the side of my brush, I'm going to use this to press all over that base shade I just applied. This is almost gonna be like my powder priming stage. I've not done any type of foundation or concealer. This is a little bit more of a smoky party look. I personally like to do smoky eyes first and then do the rest of my complexion because fall down is a lot easier to clean up this way. Now, there are some people out there who always do eyes after their base makeup, and it's personal preference. I just prefer this way because it's easier and I can streamline the rest of my look from there. I'm going to continue with the ColourPop E23 brush, and I want to go a little bit deeper. I'm going to use another matte eyeshadow from Sydney Grace called Speedway, and this is a nice cool taupey gray brown. Pack it on the side of my brush. So taking my brush on the side and just really patting in, then I'm going to use the back of my hand and I am going to tap my brush into the shadow. That way I'm making sure the powder is distributed throughout the fibers of my brush. Tap off the excess. So I like to start by tilting my chin up, looking down, stretching that lid, and I am just going to use that brown shade to stamp all over my eyelid and working my way from the lash line upwards. When I get to the socket, if I need to, I can go back to that shadow on the brush, pick it up on the tip of the brush, and now with my eyes open looking straight ahead, I can see where my socket is and I can just kind of pat over where I want it and then blend side to side if you need to. Now this first layer is going to be pretty sheer, but it's our base layer. We can continue to build up. So I've got the product on my brush. I'm going to distribute it on the back of my hand, and I'm just going to continue building up. When creating a smoky eye for the summer color palette, kind of like I mentioned in the series I did for 2022, I like to think of it as a foggy eye or a hazy eye instead of a smoky eye. I just want it to be a little bit softer, a little bit more subtle. So for this shade, depending on your skin tone, you want to go with the shade that is going to be anywhere between 4 to 5 shades deeper than your skin tone. You are shearing it out. The brush is quite fluffy, and using a fluffy brush as more of a packing brush will allow you to get a more sheer wash of color. I'm going to continue using the shade Speedway, but I want to mix it with the deepest shade in the palette called Thunderbird. And I'm going to use that same brush, and I just go back and forth between the two shades. And again, I'm going to mix it on my hand using my handheld mirror. I want to start with this in the outside corner of my eye, just tapping and then working into this outer V section. So looking straight ahead, I can just kind of bounce my brush into this V shape. Or even if you are like me and you have more downturned eyes that are slightly hooded, I almost think about it as a backwards 7. So I kind of go out and then back in, and I normally go about halfway. And then you can just swirl and buff to connect. So now I want to take that shade a little bit deeper because it's a smoky eye. I want a little bit of drama. I'm going to start by picking up some Thunderbird, then picking up Speedway and a little bit more Thunderbird, still taking the time to tap off my product. You'll see quite a bit of product there, but that's saving you from having an excess fall down under your eye, and also it's going to make it more controllable because remember, we're going for a foggy eye. So you want to just take your time and build it up. When you see an area that you want more color, just take a moment to pat your brush, stipple the brush over, and then buff and blend. So now you want to use an eyeliner. You can go with a dark brown or dark gray. I'm going to use the Urban Decay 24/7 liner pencil in the shade Smoke. You don't need to be precise, but you want to just do a general line all the way across your upper lash line. The ColourPop E25. I want to use a mix again of the Speedway and Thunderbird shade on the point of this brush. I'm going to angle my brush down to buff right over the eyeliner. Now once you have your line on, if you see any type of discrepancy in the shape of the liner, you can always go back and build up your liner. I want my liner to be a little bit more straight across, so I want to slightly build up a wedge shape and then connect straight across. Use the same 2 mix of colors, angle my brush down, and again, I'm gonna buff right on top of those 2 shadows. Now I'm gonna continue using that same eyeliner pencil on the lower lash line. I wanna start almost on the outside edge of the iris or the colored part of my eye, and I want to draw just a few little dots meeting up with the upper lash line. Now just using the brown shade Speedway, I'm going to take that on my brush, angle upwards, and buff back and forth to soften down that liner and connect to the upper lash line. If it gets messy under here, it's okay. Remember, there's no foundation, no concealer, so blend all you need to get to the softness that you want. And remember, we can build up and continue softening things as we progress with our base makeup. Now, if your eyeliner still has a fine point on it, what I like to do is run it on the back of my hand, soften it down so it's not so sharp. And now I'm going to tightline my upper lash line. Now there's normally going to be a little bit of pencil that migrates upwards in your lashes, so I like to take my brush, no additional product, angle down, and then buff over the lash line again. In my palette, I have a pressed pigment from Sydney Grace. This is called Aim High. For this one, I'm going to use my finger. You can use a brush if you want. I just find my finger works better for the effect I want. And I'm going to take this and press right over the center of my eyelid, extending towards the inner corner. Now, I like quite a bit of sheen and brightness, especially with the eye being this dark. So I always go back over and do a second layer, and I'm leaving this outer corner absent of color. To the ColourPop E23, that back of my hand where I have those eyeshadows, I have been mixing. I'm going to use that color now and just press here on the outside corner, and I can feather in to the shimmery shade and connect to the lower lash line. Now I have both eyes on, I want to go through, make sure I don't have anything under my eyes as far as fall down. Something I like to do, instead of using a micellar water, I like to use my facial moisturizer, the CeraVe moisturizing lotion, and I just like to take a little cotton round, and then once I dispense it onto the cotton round, I will just kind of work it in, fold my round in half, and then I can use that just to wipe under the eye. I like to start fairly low down on the cheek, work my way up. Once I get to the groove of the lower eye, so where the hollow is, I like to just go through, angle upwards, up and out towards the tail of my brow, as that will help to lift my eyeshadow in the direction that I want it to go. So you can see we got some fallout, so that's why cleanup is so important. Now that the cleanup is done under the eyes, if your lower lash line doesn't look exactly right, leave it alone, we'll come back to it. I'm gonna prime my skin using the Laura Geller Spackle Skin Perfecting Primer in the original clear shade. This eye look is such a versatile staple, I feel like, in any true summer's wardrobe or makeup arsenal, because it is such a great look that you can borrow as a true cool summer from the true winter palette, because this is a little bit more smoky, it's a little bit more dramatic. This is a little bit more on the smoke side versus the foggy side. Foggy eyes would be great for your kind of everyday. You could definitely tone this down, especially in the outer corner, and once you get your mascara on, this is going to look a little bit more subdued, as well as adding color to the rest of the face. But this is such a great versatile look that you can build upon your everyday eyeshadow and create something a little bit more smoky, more dramatic. Say for instance, if you're going from like work to dinner. I'm gonna go ahead and do my foundation next. I'm gonna use the number 1 to Chanel Revitalizing Red Camellia Foundation. I wear shade BR12. And to blend out my foundation, I'm gonna use the ColourPop F29 brush. Remember, with true summer, we want to keep harmony. I don't want the face to look overly made up. I like to use a foundation that is a little bit thinner, that is going to feel more like a secondary skin versus a heavy makeup look. And I feel like that's where the number 1 to Chanel foundation really excels, because as it blends into the skin, it takes on a second skin-like appearance. Downside is it does have fragrance, so if you are sensitive to fragrance, especially that kind of classic floral Chanel fragrance, this might be a little on the overwhelming side. But for me, as someone who has sensitive skin, I can be sensitive to some fragrances in my products. I have not had any issues with this. This brush is really nice for getting products to spread out. And I'm still working off that a little bit I applied. I might need a little bit more to cover my forehead. So I'm gonna take about a half a pump. You just kind of see as this blends into the skin, it melts. It looks so beautiful. Little something I like to do when I'm working with these big fluffy brushes for foundation, if I've done my eyes first, I always take the kind of beveled side of my brush and run right over my eyebrows, kind of where you apply your brow highlight shade, because I feel it helps to soften things down. So I've got an even layer of foundation all over, but I still have some on the back of my hand. What I like to do is just take my brush, pick it up, and then hold my mirror a little bit further away. And I want to put a little bit more coverage here on the front, my chin, and on my forehead. And then I'm just going to lightly buff over. I want to tie into that pink sparkle that I have on the eyelids with the Aim High Pressed Pigment. I'm going to use my Chanel LeBlanc Rosy Lighting Drops, using my foundation brush to pick this up, and then I'm just going to stipple over the high points of my cheeks. Originally, I didn't want to have 2 Chanel products in this video just because sometimes I like to create a little bit of variety, but this Chanel LeBlanc Rosy Lighting Drop, this is perfect. If you are, once again, any summer, so light summer, cool true summer, soft muted summer, or any winter, so deep dark winter, true cool winter, or bright clear winter, this is just a really beautiful, 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 beautiful icy pink liquid highlight that does just so well at adding radiance to the skin, but it doesn't make the skin look textured. It smooths out the skin. It does have a little bit of that Chanel fragrance. This, compared to the number 1 Chanel foundation, this almost smells like it has a little bit of like a peony in it. So it's a little bit more of an aquatic floral, but it just adds this glow, and it's an icy pink. So it's not going to feel too warm. So it's not going to distort the overall cool feeling of a cool true summer or a cool true winter. I want to brighten up on the under eyes, because if I don't brighten up this inner eye portion, it's going to get very heavy. And with my eye shape being a little bit more narrow, my eyes are they're longer than they are vertically tall. So the smokiness is naturally going to close them down. So I want to make sure I'm brightening and doing what I can to expand the area. Concealer to brighten up and add some more plumpness to the area. This is from Wet n Wild, the Mega Last All Day Full Coverage Concealer in the shade Fair Beige. I'm gonna use it quite sparingly to brighten up here in this inner corner of my eye, then also here on the outside corner. Staying away from the eyeshadow because when I blend this, I don't want this to migrate too far upwards. A little bit on my nose to brighten up here and center of the chin, and also right here will brighten up there. I'm gonna start with my foundation brush, so the F29 brush, and see what this does. This might be too big for me to conceal my under eyes, but overall it's doing well for blending out these other areas. So this brush is actually doing it really nicely to stipple in here on the outside corner, and we'll try here. So I'm gonna almost take it at an angle, going like downwards, and then pressing and bouncing over, letting it act like a sponge. So that way the bristles will kind of move themselves. Okay, so I'm able to use this large foundation brush to get into that little corner of my eye. Is it ideal? No. Is it quick? Yes. And also this is to make it less precise. So you're not going to get like a cut line under the eyes, which will make this feel a little bit more casual versus having something very, very precise, which that precision could be really beautiful for a true winter because it has more of that contrast, more of that depth, whereas true summer is a little bit softer, a little bit more hazy. So having that more diffusion with that brighter under eye concealer is going to help soften that down and make it feel a little bit more harmonious. Do I have any areas that I want to add a little bit more coverage to? Yes, so I'm going to use my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Vanilla. Go right here. I'm going to continue with the F29. That progressed a lot quicker, and I'm very happy with it. Okay, let's add some blush because I need to take away from this eye because the eye is very intense. I'm going to use a Rare Beauty blush. This is the shade Encourage, and I believe it's called the Soft Pinch Liquid Blush. I've seen a lot of people on social media just take these and wipe directly onto the face. I've never mastered that. So I work off the back of my hand, use my foundation brush. I'm gonna pick up a little bit, and I just like to start working on the back of my hand. I've got that highlight, I have foundation, so I'm just going to work it all into the brush and then just start creating a flush on the cheek, working fairly quickly because these do dry down. Mixing it with the highlight and the foundation will kind of halt it from drying as quickly as it normally would, but it's still going to dry down pretty quickly. Now that's something I randomly like to do with these. So when I'm using these, I like how they create a base for the lip. So I just use whatever's on my brush to put a little bit of color on the lips. And also I can go right here on the outside corner of the eye and just blend that blush into the outer corner. So that way everything, once again, it's creating a hazy gradient. Make sure I look even. I think we're looking even. I don't feel like I need any more brightening at this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and powder. I'm gonna use the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Pressed Powder in the shade number 100 Translucent. And I'm gonna use the big powder brush called the F28. So I'm just going to stipple over the center portion. I like before I finish off my lower lash line and cheeks, I want to get my lip color on. So I'm gonna start off with the Huda Beauty Lip Contour 2.0 in the shade Muted Pink, which is, again, this is just a great lip liner color for light summer, true summer, or soft summer. I still love a light kind of nude pink lip MAC Creme Sheen lipstick in the shade Creme Puff. Finish up my lower lash line with the E30, and I'm going to use the press pigment called Aim High. I'm going to use this shade to highlight the very inner point of my lower tear duct. So then what I like to do is almost create an inverted triangle. And that way it's just going to help kind of pull this down and open up the eye. I enjoyed that, so I'm gonna use this small brush and just take a little bit more on the upper part of my tear duct and just really brighten and open that up. ColourPop E27, and I'm going to use the matte mid-tone brown called Speedway, and I'm going to use that to blend where my concealer meets my shadow. And then when I get here to the outer corner, I'm just going to gently connect. And if it's a little heavy, a little smoky on the lower lash line, I personally like that look because I feel like it just kind of adds something extra to the look. E22, and I'm going to use the light beige shade called Drift. And now that I've got a little bit of something going around the eye, I can use this just to go through and clean up, brighten up that perimeter, create that true smoky or hazy effect of the darkest color at that lash line is now just fading out and disappearing into your skin tone. Final shade from the palette, I'm going to use the pressed highlighter in the shade Melody, the ColourPop F33. Melody is a little deep for a highlight, so I like to use it under my blush color as a really beautiful kind of pink purple backdrop, but it definitely captures that really pretty cool tone shift that is going to just kind of take this look to that party ready feature. Like, ooh, can you see that? Can you see that blue pink icy shift? It's like that perfect bridge right itself, tying the eye to the cheek because you've got that kind of baby Barbie pink purple shade in the lip color, which is connecting to the sparkly, more blue purple shade of the eye. Now I'm going to use a YouTube classic. This is the Tarte Amazonian Clay Blush in the shade Blushing Bride. And I'm going to try out the ColourPop F30 brush. Hopefully the shade isn't too pigmented. I'll start here on the front of my cheek. Okay. I think I can buff and blend. The Melody highlight is going to give my cheek quite a bit of color. Once I have the base layer down that blush, I'm gonna use my powder brush to go through and soften. That's so pretty. I want to add a little bit more. So where I kind of pulled that inner tear duct highlight on the lower into a triangular shape, I want to connect that to my lower inner waterline. I'm going to use the NYX Epic Wear Liner Stick in the shade Periwinkle Pop. I'm going to use this to line my lower inner waterline. And all that leaves is the final step, which is going to be mascara. And with this smoky eye, you can add it to upper and lower. I'm gonna keep it just on the top, and I'm gonna really get a lot of product down at the root to almost create a clumpy root effect that I can feather out using my trusty Clinique Lash Power in Dark Chocolate. So here is the final party ready, true or cool summer makeup tutorial, and even more fun. I ended up using all but 4 of the brushes, so impressive if I do say so myself. I had such a great time creating this look, and I love that we were able to create something smoky, a little bit more dramatic, perfect for this true cool summer color palette. And we got to play with something that would also work equally as well for a true or cool winter. Let me know if this is a look you would try out, or let me know what you would like to see in the next true cool summer makeup tutorial in a comment down below. And if you found this video helpful, informative, and entertaining, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Until the next time, I hope you're taking care of yourself wherever it is you are in the world, and I will see you later. Bye, y'all.